have here in the flesh Tammy Holmes, renowned psychic. I met Tammy at a Before I Die festival in Bakersfield, California, that was held in a funeral home cemetery combo. And the session was the woo-woo side of death. And we had Tammy teamed up with a ghost hunter kind of guy, paranormal investigator. Fascinating topic, and I think it was the most popular event at that particular one. And Tammy has joined me online for our New Mexico festivals, but now you're here in person, and I am so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Honored. Love you.
Yes. And you got the messages that our deceased loved ones want us to know about the dying process. Can't wait to hear about that. And I'll ask you questions on camera.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for having me. I've been a psychic for 28 years. I've read for over 70,000 people in those years. I've seen everything, heard everything. But the dying process to me is very different. I look at death as graduation. I don't look at it as the end, because you really don't die. You change form. You go from a physical to a spiritual body. You actually leave. It's like your body deflates like a balloon, and you actually float out of your body. And depending on your dying cycle, which we'll talk about, you'll alter into a spiritual body. And then that spiritual body, once it go, and they've taught me this, all the people who passed on, the guides, and I see it when I see people pass. I even read for people that are dying. They have me come to their homes because they think they're going crazy because they're living in two realities or seeing things that we don't see. They don't know what's real anymore. And I have to affirm to them what they're seeing is actually real, but they're altering realities. And it's part of the transition for the spiritual body and the physical body to change into the realm of heaven and to ascend into a higher dimension. So I love it because it takes their fear away, and then I confirm what they're seeing, and they don't even know that I'm seeing it with them. So I'm being shown what they're seeing. And they'll tell, I had one lady I read a couple months ago, and she was seeing shapes, different shapes and colors in her room, and they were morphing into different things. And I said, you're seeing this. And she was shocked because her family was with her. She goes, I haven't told anybody. Because a lot of times people that are dying are protecting their loved ones because they don't want them to know that they're actually dying. Even though they all know, it's like nobody wants to deal with the elephant in the room. And so what's beautiful about it, it gives confirmation for the person that's dying, and then I let them know that they're not crazy, that this is really, you're altering into another reality. It's quite lovely, and we're all going to go through this, right? So our fear shouldn't be the dying process or transitioning. It's taking care of your karmic debt and things that you need to take care of before, because the dying process is really attached personally to your karma. And if you're stuck in the physical body. So the way I help people leave their bodies is they get stuck through their chakras. Okay, so everybody knows what chakras are, I hope. But you get stuck in your physical body. And so what I tend to do is I actually release a lot through the etheric body, through the chakras. And you actually have lines, and you could call it a pipe, but you have pipes between chakras. And a lot of times people get stuck in those. Now, the way that you enter a body when you're born is through the crown chakra. That's why babies have the soft spot on the head when they're born, because that's the way you actually enter, the soul enters the body. And the soul may go back and forth at different times of the 9-month pregnancy, but the soul doesn't really incarnate till it takes its first breath. They teach me this, they tell me this, so the soul actually fully enters when it takes the first breath coming out. So I have a process that I was trained. I don't use it that often, but I have a technique where I can actually help somebody pass on. And so when I talk to clients and they're ready to go, I go, do you really want me to do this? Because when I do this, they're going to go. And I can tell if they're just hanging on by a thread. And it, to me, it means they're stuck in their chakra. One of their chakras are stuck. And there's a technique where you can unwind it to get them free, because they want to go. At that point, they're ready to go. They're tired. They're done with the process of the dying process. And one of the questions that I had was, why do some people die quickly and others take maybe years, right? They're sick. And I think one of the biggest fear is we don't want pain with our death cycle, right? But the reason why some people die quickly is because they don't need the lesson. They don't need the karmic debt to pay off, the free of the energy of the physical body. So people shoot out through heart attacks or aneurysms or car wrecks. And it's because they really didn't need to go through the duration of staying. And then the other reason a lot of people stay is family holds them back, or they need to forget, or they need to clear up some emotional discomfort within their psyche with a loved one. You know how we say, hey, they didn't go till Bobby came in the room and they had to say their goodbyes. You guys get that? So it's complicated and then it's not complicated. It's like simple and then not simple. And each person is uniquely special in their story. But a lot of times people don't go because family members are hanging on to them. And what you know this too. A lot of people die when the other person leaves the room. God, I wish I'd have just been there. They left, they left the room and they died. It's because they can't deal with separating, and there's also a golden hour of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. where people leave a lot in the early hours because the veil is thin, it's quiet, it's peaceful, and it's a good time to transition. Now, the first person you see when you transition is somebody who's appointed. It could be a loved one on the other side that comes in to take you. And it's always just one person. It's not really a lot of people. It's usually one mom, dad, husband, somebody that you really loved. And you know why that is? Because there's no fear with love. So if you love that person, you're going to leave your body easier. Because love heals everything. So when you see somebody you love, you're going to go, right? You're just going to, okay, I'm ready to go. So you go, and then the first place you go when you pass on, which I've experienced with my readings, is an energy hospital. There's no there's no doctors, nurses, it's all energy. And you'll have 1 or 2 people there, which would be your guide or one loved one. They don't have a lot of people here, but you actually go there to heal. So depending on how tragic your passing was, like I'll give an instant. This happened years ago, but it blew me away. I had the same night, my best friend's brother died, who was an extreme alcoholic. And my sister's best friend's husband died, who was the most spiritual person I ever met. He was a backhoe operator. He took care of his family. He cooked all the meals. He lived spiritually. He didn't have to study anything. He just lived it. So they both died like 3 a.m., which is that time. And I wanted to compare to see what's the difference with somebody who had a really tragic life and who was really sick chronically for years and who was sick for a very long time to somebody who had a heart attack and just came out. He didn't have the karma to pay. You guys get that? So when I go to see both people, the one guy, we were close. He goes, it took you long enough to get here. He kind of joked with me. And he educated me. He said, the first place you go is an energy hospital. You do your life review. And you got to remember, there is no time. So you're doing all this at the same time, even though we're concepted and we live in a time frame, right? So he said, the first place you go is an energy hospital. Then you do your life review. And then you go to orientation. He said, but you can't go there. You'd have to die to go there. And it's not your time. So he was ready to go. And he was like watching, it's like a hospital room, but not. And he's watching a TV. And I said, what's the TV? He said, that's Earth. They're letting me look right now on the TV at Earth. I'm like, whatever, I'm like, am I making this up? But I wasn't. So then I go down the room to the guy who's my best friend's brother died as an alcoholic, and he was sick for years. He was in a fetal position. He couldn't talk. He still had to recover. Some people think it's instant. Like you go and and you may be, but they're showing me you have to play out. You go exactly the way you are. And remember, everything happens in an instant, but they're showing it in a time frame that I can conceive it and explain it. So it took months for him to come out of that. And it probably was an instant healing for him, but it took him a while to come out of that. And the other guy was already gone. So it depends on your life choices, we all can co-create our life to be the best we can be, or we can regress. So some people wake up, some people never wake up. And so depending on your life and your choices and how you live is how it's so personal. It really reflects your death process. You guys get that? And it blows me away because there's no free pass. You can't collect $200 and go. All right. You deal with where you're at. So even on the death process, depending on how you lived your life, and the people that are very spiritual, they get it. They're just like the people I've read for, they're like role models for me. I see how they handle the death process and in awe. And then other people have fear of death, or they've been sick a long time and they get stuck in the chakras and they keep saying how come it's taken so long. It's because they got to release their fear and the karma and the debt so that they could actually leave their bodies. And there are a lot of people afraid of the unknown. They think there's a heaven and a hell and there's torment and all this. Now, my belief, and it could be different than anybody, but I'm going by my experience because they're training me, is there is no hell. Okay? There's 72 levels of heaven. So you go in at the level that you vibrate with, and then you ascend over time. So depending on where you vibrate, you go in at that level, and then you ascend upward in time, as we know. And so that's my take on the death process of how people operate in that process. And I'm there when I go in and talk to people that are dying. I'm there to comfort not just the person who's dying, but the family members. Because if they're in fear, they're going to give that fear to the patient. So you have to reassure everybody. And I love when they're open to, because that means they believe in this. They know there's more to than it's just you die, you go in the ground or cremate and that's it. No, you don't die. And there is life after this. And it is a graduation. You did one cycle of your life. If you believe in reincarnation, you can do that. If you don't, that's okay. But you can reincarnate, you can go to other places. We're not the only school. Earth is a school. It's very dark and very light. So we come here to learn. And the soul, why we come here is to evolve. Our soul wants to grow. All our souls want to grow. And the only two choices you have is to learn through joy or pain. And how much pain do you want to learn through? I don't, right? So I want to learn through joy. But I'm like a detective. I'm a psychic, but I'm like a detective when I do my work because I want to know all this. I want to know. And so I make sure I clean my chakras out and I purify my vessel because I don't want to have those kind of experiences that a lot of people have. And also there may be pain, but they've got medications for that. I call it magic pills. Give me whatever I'll take in order to go through that. So I learn from everybody I read. They teach me so much of what love is. And they all say, forgive, love, connect to the people that you're not talking to. If they could do it all over again, they would be better. And it really is a choice to wake up and to be mindful of your choices. And I love the process of the death process because it's a spiritual experience. It really is quite lovely. And, and you do change reality. So when you go through that, there's also a process. I know a lot of you know this, but when you start dying, you separate. You have to separate because you got to separate the energies because everything's energy. We're all energies. So when you have that energy, you start separating. It's a chance for them to let go so they can move on. And we know on a psyche, intuitive level, if we listen, when it's our time to go. And you have many exit points. Okay, you just don't have one. You could have 4 or 5, you could have 10. There isn't a time frame. It depends on what you contracted before you came here to take these exit points. I know I've had a couple, I didn't take them. I think we all could probably say, you know what, that was close. I call my sister 9 lives times 5. She's had so many exit points, she's not left. It blows me how she's still here and she's still living. She's so resilient. She's not ready to go.
Is that like near-death experience?
It can be near-death experience, or it could be a close call.
Okay.
Or you get so injured and you walk away from a car accident and they're thinking, how did you do that? How did you just walk away from that? That's an exit point. Mm-hmm. Or you got really sick and then you recovered. So I think we all can look at exit points, not just for ourselves, but for other people. Now, the other on the other side of that, some people don't have many exit points and they're leaving in their 20s because they don't need the lessons like we do. They don't need to grow on a soul level. They're older souls. They got what they needed to. Some people incarnate just to help other people out. It's almost like saying, I really don't need to go back, but if I can help Joe or Betty or Sue, I'm going to incarnate and help them, and then I'm going to leave young. You guys get that? Now, the other end of that too, and this is tragic and it's hard, is when babies die. And people don't get it. Well, it's because they came in 2 reasons. One, it was too much energy here. They couldn't handle it, so they left. And just couldn't vibrate with the earth. It was too hard, so they exited. Or 2, they came in to wake people up, wake somebody up. Because a lot of people wake up through pain spiritually. It's the truth. When I woke up in my early 30s, it wasn't through joy. It was through pain. I wanted to know that there's got to be more than just paying bills and the hardships. So we have to be, aware of what we're doing and how we're treating other people, and to release the karmic debt that we have, not just for ourselves collectively. Look at COVID. Look how many people died in COVID. That was a collective mass exit for a lot. I read so many people in the last 4 years. It's crazy. I had one family. She lost 7 members of her family to COVID. And she was dropping them off one by one at the hospital, never to see them again. And all they did was go out for pizza in Bakersfield, and she just said, and I said, it's their time. There's a collective energy. People wanted to leave, and it really changed the whole planet. Guess what the second cause of death is right now? You guys won't figure it out. You might. Anybody have a guess what that might be?
Diabetes.
What?
Diabetes.
Nope. It's fentanyl. Okay, so many people I'm reading in the last 3 years where their kids are taking substance and it's not regulated, and they're dying. I've had thousands of people die from fentanyl. So I tell people, if you have to do something, regulate it, check it out. I'm not for it, but if you're going to do it, make sure you check what you're taking. Fentanyl is a second killer right now. So I'm seeing a lot of that with clients. And you can't come out of that. Fentanyl is very high and it's potent and it will take you out right away. Anybody have any questions so far? Because I want to do this as exchange where you guys might have some questions about any of it. Yes.
You mentioned that one person, one soul, spirit comes to meet the person. Do you think it's possible to invite who you want?
Okay, is it possible for what?
To invite who you want to come meet you?
You can, but I think they're smarter than we are. Okay, so they already know who's gonna be the person for you. Like, they are so freaking smarter than we are. Okay, I'm not really good on my own, but when I connect, they're a million times smarter than us. So they already know who the person is that's gonna come and meet you.
The reason I ask is sometimes, like, because I'm a doula, so if someone is expressing a lot of fear,
Yeah.
like, I will encourage them to say, who are you looking forward to seeing? And
That's perfect.
Have you invited them to come?
Right, that's perfect.
And
You can do that.
It's a lot of anxiety.
Oh yeah, you can do that because love heals, right? You're either in fear or love. Yes, you can invite whoever you're comforted with to come in and greet you. And then at the same time, they're going to bring in who needs to do that. But I love that you do that because, and the thing is, when they start seeing a loved one, they're growing. Like within days, I would say, within a week, days, they're going. Because that's kind of the last point of leaving is when you see loved ones. But a lot of times they see colors and things morphing in the room or things changing. And you have to tell them that's normal. You're going into a different reality. It's beautiful. Enjoy it. Because I reassure people when I see them doing that. Like, yeah, that's okay that you're seeing it. You're going into a whole different reality. I can't, this might be interesting. I deal so much with the other side. I can't wait to die. I don't want to die right now. Okay. But the one thing you do everything you love until you no longer love it. You know how cool that is? So I read people in bars, golf courses. They duplicate their houses that they love. Like this morning, I told Gal, I'm staying at this old casita downtown, and I woke up at 5:30. There's a lady standing in front of my bed, and she loves this house I'm staying in. It's gorgeous, and I'm like, okay, I got to do a crossing at 5:30 in the morning. But she didn't want to leave because she loved the house because it's gorgeous. It's got wood ceilings, everything is stunning. And I said, well, you can duplicate that when you go there. So I brought her husband in, and he took her. So people do get stuck too, but she didn't want to leave the house, and I don't know how long she's been there, a long time. But I got her crossed over. So everything is about love. Always encouraging. Who did you love? Who do you feel safe with? Who you can't wait to see? Who do you want to talk to? Ask for them to come in. And then that'll happen. Yes, go ahead.
We have a question online.
Okay.
When my mother died, she said to me, there are a lot of people standing around who don't know who don't know who they are. What do you think she meant?
Well, because they're stuck.
Oh,
Okay. So you do have that where you'll have where you're getting ready to go. So everybody who's around you, especially hospitals. Okay. I have to protect myself in hospitals.
Oh,
But people who are stuck and not crossed over, they're going to come be a part of that energy. Because the thing about the dying process, even babies, your battery is charged. So they're going to plug in. They're going to like, oh my God, this is a lighthouse here. I want to plug in. So when you're in that process of dying, there's a lot of light there. So people who are stuck are going to be drawn to that. So those are people that they probably didn't know, and that happens too. Yeah, they'll come and be a part of that, and then they need to be crossed over.
so do they go along with the person who's dying?
No, no, they have to have an individual, like the brother, the mother, because they have to get out of their fear. So the only way to do that is bring somebody in they love. They're not going to go with that person. And there's a lot of light that comes in even through that tunnel. Okay, so you go through that tunnel. It is a tunnel and it's light. So those stuck people are going to feed off that light. They're going to get their battery charged up.
So my brother runs a metaphysical bookstore, the
Yes.
Legal, and they've got readers there. And one of their readers told my brother, unprompted, that my dad, who died toward the end of August,
Okay.
that my grandmother, his mother, and his best friend, my Uncle Sid, who's
Okay.
my mother's twin brother,
Right.
came to meet him. So he actually got two people.
Okay, usually that's not the case, but that can happen. And the other thing is they go over there, they have a family reunion and everything. They're cooking and celebrating. If they drink, they drink. I don't think it's actual alcohol, but you know, you do all the things that you do here. And a lot of times you change age. So you might be old, you go to 30 or 20 or whatever age you felt the happiest. Even as some of them go to children. So whatever age that you felt the most innocent or alive, you actually morph into that. That's why I said you can do and be anything you want to be. You know, like I go read people in bars. I'm like, okay, this is what you love to do. But they recreate it and they're always with their other family members. But the one thing that's great is once they go, they can help you. So always ask for their help. They say we don't ask enough for help. Like ask your loved ones that are, I always say, pure light of God, help me. Show me what I need to do today. Show me how to be a better person today. Who do I need to serve today? How can I show up today? So I always bring my loved ones in. Not all of them, because some of them I'm like, no, I don't want their help. But there are the ones that I do want. And I'm like, okay, can you come in and help? And you have your spirit guides and the archangels and the Akashic records and the Council of 12. There's so many things to help us to be the best we can be. And I'm like, the symbology of it is we're all riding down the same road. Do you want it bumpy or do you want it smooth? So as I've gotten older, and I've learned this the hard way, simplicity is not overrated. Simple is not overrated, right? So do you want it easy or do you want it bumpy? And you know, one of the things is, do you want peace or do you want to be right? So, you know, or let go of the steering wheel. Marianne Williamson used to tell me, she was my teacher for 12 years. She said, why drive when you can fly? What are you doing hanging on to the steering wheel? You know, because the thing is, we're here to be, as much as I'm talking about the other side, I want to inspire you to be your best. I'm a Course in Miracles student and teacher too. Go ahead.
Why are we so afraid to let our loved ones go?
So let me.
Why are we
repeat
so afraid to let our loved ones go? Because we love them. And we want them. You know, we don't want to let them go. But if you do meditation, you can talk to them in meditation. One of the ways I help a lot of people heal, especially parents who lose kids to suicide, is I take them through guided meditation so they can see and talk to their kids. It's the most healing thing that I can do. It's because you think you can't talk to them again, but you actually can. You'll think you're making it up and it's imagination, but it's reality. I had one lady, she flew in from Colorado to Phoenix and she couldn't even walk. They had to carry her in my office. She was in such grief with losing her son. I knew his name. I knew everything about him before she got there. They dialogued for a couple hours. I don't know what was said. I guided her through meditation. She was able to walk out of my house. So when you realize that you can actually talk to your loved ones in meditation, you feel very different about it. Yes.
Do you have a procedure for that meditation you talked about?
I do have a procedure for that. I probably should record that. I have other meditations, but you can contact me if you want. TammyJHolmes.com, or I have business cards too. If you guys want that, I can go get them out of the car. I forgot to bring them in. But there's ways you can do that. And you can talk to any loved one you want. I talk to everybody. You know, I love the conversation with people on the other side and guides, because they're educating me. I want to know. It's like I only have a fraction of it. Like I'm down a rabbit hole, but I don't feel like I'm in it all the way. So I'm getting like pieces of it. But if you knew that you could talk to them, you wouldn't be afraid to let them go. And if you realize death is graduation, it's not the end, that they did what they needed to on the earth plane. And I really believe you don't go unless it's your time. I really believe that. Like when you go, it's your time.
And it doesn't matter the way.
Pardon me?
Accident, sickness.
Yeah, and all of it. You know, no matter what the age is, when you go, it's your time. It really is constructed that way. Because a lot of people have near-death experiences and they'll say, it's not your time yet. You got to go back. But I'm really a believer when you go and you're gone, it was your time. And we don't think it's fair, right? But it's part of life. It's part of our life here. And we all agreed to be incarnated. So we're not victims. We agreed to be here to fulfill contracts. Now, the other way that you can leave, I'm just getting this. There's another way that you can leave early, even though maybe you weren't supposed to, if you're not following your contract. If you get so far off your contract, like it's like a rubber band, you left your source. One of the sayings in the course, it says, you think you got many problems, but you have one. You're not connected to God, your source. But if you get so far off, if you go do drugs really bad, or you get way off and you get dysfunctional, or like a train wreck, they take you out that way too, because you're not fulfilling what you came in to do. That's why a lot of people die at 28, 27, 28, because they're not following their contracts. If you guys ever look at that. And a lot of people die by their birthdays. It's very common, you know, like they take them out through their birthday. So as long as you're in alignment with somewhat of your contract, you'll live long, or not. But if you get so far off track, that's a way to exit too.
What about people who are like mean and alienate their family members? I mean, is that a contract they're serving?
It's not a contract. We're not here to be mean. It means you're insane. You lost your mind. You're dysfunctional. You're not healing, working out. You're emotional. It's one thing to be spiritual, but emotional healing needs to take place. Accountability. The course says you don't heal what you don't own. So if you don't own it, you're not going to heal it. So people that are crazy or dysfunctional, they're not doing their contracts. And they're causing more karma. So guess what that's going to cause? A long death cycle where they're going to be sick a long time. It's like sometimes the honorary ones live longer, right? Yeah. But their death cycle is long. They don't leave right away. Classic, my mom. She was bipolar, full-blooded Italian, and not the nicest person. She got dementia. So my take on dementia and Alzheimer's is you check out before you check out, because you're afraid of the death cycle, or you're afraid something that happened you can't handle being in reality. Because we create everything. We create our own sickness too. So it's interesting. Anybody else with other questions? Yes.
What does it mean again to have a longer death cycle?
It means you have karmic debt and that you're burning off your karmic debt.
Therefore,
You can cross over once you, because energy, it's dense. So you have to elevate that energy up in order to cross over. So you're burning the karma off so you can ascend up to cross over.
Do you have any information about after people pass, they come to you first?
They come to you? Okay, that's good.
Is that, I've never said that because I was thought.
No, that's good that they come to you. That means they're helping you. I tell people when you dream of loved ones coming to you, it's not a dream, it's a visitation. And it takes a lot for them to come here, okay? Because Earth is a battlefield, it's dark and light. All right, in heaven, and those 72 levels that you go to are light. So it takes a lot for them to come here. So when they visit you, that's a gift. And they're really helping us. That's why I said, ask them for help all the time, because we can't do it on our own, especially now with everything going on in the world. I see it as staying in the eye of the storm right now. Every day, how to co-create. You either co-create or play a victim every day. So the thing is, how are you co-creating in the eye of the storm right now? How are you showing up every day? And all you can change is today. So what are you doing today to show up the best you can? And even if it means saying, hey, I don't want a karmic death cycle, I'm going to be the best I can be. And it doesn't mean you got to be friends and have people in your life that are dysfunctional. It means you forgive them and you let them go. It's okay to say no. Okay, I'm not saying don't be a doormat, but it also means I forgive you because you don't remember who you are, or you don't know who you are in this lifetime. And I'm going to have boundaries with you, and I'm not going to be around you that often or not at all, but I'm going to see who you really are if you don't. Yes.
my great aunt lived 106. She died 2 years ago. Her husband died 20 years before she.
Okay.
Why? They ate the same thing. They grew up in the same town. She cooked for him. So what does food do in our life?
Well, it's not about food. Okay, which one died first, the female or the male?
The male.
No, it's because he did what he needed to. He contracted everything. We all come in with contracts, okay? Depending on how much you take on. It's like walking a smorgasbord. I think I can do that. I think I can do that on the other side. And we're thinking, what the hell was I thinking, right? So you take on a lot, right? And then what he did is he fulfilled his contract. So it wasn't about, it hasn't, yes, you want to be mindful what you're eating and take care of the physical body, okay? That's common sense. But what I'm talking about is that there are things that you agreed to do before you even came here. So it wouldn't matter if they did everything. You could walk out and get hit by a bus, right? You could be in perfect shape, or ride a bike and get hit. It's like, if it's your time, it's your time. It really is that way. And the other thing too, I just got this, like with the war going on and even with COVID, I got chills. I think, and this is so powerful, I think we agreed to die maybe in a collective way in order to wake the rest of the planet up. So, hey, I'll sign up for that. I'll go with the group. If it means other people don't have to die later on, I'm going to do that. Example is the Holocaust, right? So I feel sometimes we sign up for things that are part of a bigger thing. And we do that on the other side because we know there's no death. Right? I mean, for me, I'd like to just check out. Like, I'm like, okay, I just want to, I don't want a long process, but if that happens, it happens. But I'm showing up. But if they leave earlier, it's because they fulfilled their contract. True. Anybody else?
Is it possible that when someone dies and it's an accident or it's a young death, that they can, once they're on the other side, they can be shocked that they're dead and not
Oh, that
quite
happens a
know,
lot.
and not quite know that they're
Oh yeah,
dead?
that happens a lot.
And can they be mad?
I don't see anger.
Okay.
I see that a lot with the fentanyl. Okay. With COVID.
Yeah.
I've read thousands and thousands of people with COVID. It broke my heart. But I think there was a collective energy with that too. They're like in shock that they're dead. I can't believe I died. I can't believe I wasn't. And I have to tell their loved ones, this wasn't intentional. And that gives them relief. Hey, this wasn't intentional. They got fentanyl, or COVID. That's not intentional, but it's part of their death cycle. But a lot of times, they're in shock. And then there's suicides where they're like, oh yeah, I did exactly what I needed to do. I wanted to go. I couldn't handle it anymore. It's too painful. And you have to tell them that as well. And there's nothing you could have done. So it depends. It's so personal. Each person in their transition, it's personal. So yeah, they do have shock. And they have to adjust to that too. That's why I said there's no free pass. So you go in at the level you're at with all your emotion, with all your stuff, and you have to work through that. And a lot of times what I see with suicides is they end up getting well and they help people on the other side. So they, because they have schools and all kinds of stuff where they help kids transition who come over because they went through it. So it's like give back. They have to work through all of that. So they give back to the other kids coming over with the same reasons because they get involved. And when I tell parents that, they love that because they don't feel that they died in vain, And a lot of times too, you can feel somebody when they die and other times you can't. You guys get that too? Like I would say it's really pretty common for the first 7-8 months after somebody dies that you'll feel them because they're still doing they're weaning the separation of the energies of your loved with them. And it's actually helping you heal. It'd be too tragic for you. Because people do go in shock when people die. And their grief. And they have a right to be that. You want to be in your grief and your pain. But I'm in a different place where I'm like, there's no death. So I go talk to them. And I do that with the clients. I talk to them for them. I was doing a reading a month ago at my house, which I just started doing. And the client kept blowing out the candles. I had 3 candles lit. He kept blowing them out. And we're like in awe, watching it. But he was that kind of person. He used to play with stuff and do things. And the TV went on. They turn electronics on. They do. And the vacuum turned on too. I know. And we're all laughing, right? I had like a little robot vacuum and it turned on. And we're just laughing because I think I love it because they're giving confirmation that I'm talking to them. And you can talk to anybody. I'm not special. I just do it for a living. I have a good muscle at it, but everybody can be intuitive. Everybody can talk to loved ones. We're all intuitive. We have the same aspect of that. You just have to purify your vessel, clean your chakras out, do some stuff, and then you ask for permission for them to come in and see you.
How do you clean your chakras?
I have a guided meditation on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do have a guided meditation with great music. My son did it. He's a prodigy with music, and it's got the notes on the chakras. But you can do mine, or you can look it up. The thing nowadays, there's no excuse to not be connected. There's so much out there with different teachers, YouTube, everything. It's like we're over inundated with products and modalities. Okay.
In fact, well, I find when I soak in the hot tub that
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
feel connected, like to my husband Dave.
Right. Yes.
And I was in the hot tub wondering what should I put on his memorial marker.
Oh.
And he was a graphic designer and
Right.
illustrator,
Right.
and he had done these books of illustrating Torah. And so there was this drawing of Abraham looking up at the divine light, and I was like, that would be great.
That's
But
awesome.
like, what should I put for the epitaph? And he loved Young Frankenstein.
There you go.
And the line
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
elevate me.
Oh my, I love that. And how can that not be right? And water is a purifier. So water is the best way to clear. It's water is symbolic for emotional clearing. So you do anything with water. I tell people baths, showers, hot tubs, swimming. When I get overwhelmed, I go swim or I go jet skiing, or I go, if I have a hot tub, I'd love that. I'd be in it every day. But the thing is, water is a purifier. And I tell people now, because the collective energy is so intense, do whatever you need to rise above the battlefield. Course in Miracles calls Earth a battlefield. Whatever you need to do, ascend your energy up. Every day you should be doing that. What do I need to do today to be the best I can be? And listen to your guidance. It'll show you what you need if you listen. And I tell people, have a spiritual practice, 5-10 minutes a day. The Course says, give me 5 minutes to connect to the Holy Spirit, and your whole day will be different. Okay, do you want the bumpy road or do you want the smooth road? Because it's really all you got. Like, do you want it easy or do you want it hard? You're going to learn through joy or pain. Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
So you mentioned intuition.
Yes.
This last week. Her mom and sister were killed 50 years ago in a horrific accident. She was in the vehicle.
Right.
For 50 years, she said, they don't come to me. I want to see them. I want to come in a dream, or I want to see them.
Okay.
And she said that forever, and it's never happened. And she wears her parents' wedding rings sometimes before, and she said, I lost the box, the little gold box I lost, and it was where it went.
Okay.
And I was walking by, and there was this other box, and I was like, oh, it's in there, and I opened it up, and there it was. And right after that, it hit me, or something hit me, saying, intuition is how her mom talks to her. And this woman is so intuitive and scared. She's not forward all the time.
Yeah, intuition is the way they connect. And intuition is what? Your senses. It could be feeling, sight, hear, audio. It could be sight. It could be all of it. So your 6 senses, all of that. They connect to all of that. But they also do the external. Turn the TVs on, turn the appliances on, turn lights off and on. You'll smell them. That's what I'm saying. They connect with the senses. Smell, or you see a lot of birds. They'll use animals. Animals are pretty cool too. They'll use all kinds of animals. Like the guy that was the backhoe operator that died. We went to his funeral. There was a peacock. And I live right next to the cemetery. It followed me home. It was at my house for a week. I'm like, Mike, you need to go. I know it's you. I got it. You're here with me. But they'll use animals too. Hummingbirds, birds. They will use any animals that they can to connect with you.
Dragonflies.
Huh?
Dragonflies.
All of that.
Butterflies, yeah.
Butterflies, everything. It's just kind of like watching,
Numbers? Seeing the same number?
Okay, seeing the same numbers. If you see numbers, you need to look those up because they usually come in 3s, right? So you need to look up, there's angel numbers, you can look those up. And that means a lot of times they're with you. They want to let you know they're with you. 111, make a wish. 333 is your guides are with you. I don't know how them all memorized, but there's books on that too that you can get. Doreen Virtue has a great angel number book with that. But numbers means that they're trying to get your attention. Not just your loved ones, but your guides. Sometimes they want to get you back on path. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, we're helping you. So look the numbers up.
My father was born 3333.
Oh,
Okay.
So that shows up.
There. Okay, that's your dad.
Yeah.
So say, hey, Dad, thank you. Help me today. Ask him to help. Help me today. Keep me on track. You don't want to learn through pain. They tell me all the time, we want to help, but they don't ask.
Could you talk a bit about guides? Spirit
Guides, I can do spirit guides. Okay, you have a permanent guide, one that's with you from the time you incarnate till you die. I have one, his name's Efron, he looks like Santa Claus, a bad Santa Claus. And then I have temporary guides that are actual, not incarnated and incarnated. So I have William, we all have guides. And I always say, bring in your guides, ask to bring your guides that are 100% pure light of God. I have a lot of discernment because anything can slip in me. So I have Einstein's my guide, Albert Einstein, he's funny. Anne Ray Colton is a guide, she's a great author. And William from my book that I wrote in 2012. And he's part of the Council of 12. There's a Council of 12 too. I go there a lot to get direction. It's like a courtroom and they're really stern, but I need that. So I'll go in there and I might complain, and I've learned not to do as much as that as I've gotten older. I was really complaining a lot years ago, but you can call on all your guides, the council, the archangels. Michael the archangel is the protector of bouncers, but just know you have different guides that come in wherever you're at in your life. So some will come in for a little while and then they'll leave because they helped you with whatever you needed. And then other guides will come in because you graduated, you got what you needed with that guide. So you have temporary guides and one permanent. You guys get that? And then I work with shamans and a tribe of teams and whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing a hard clearing, I'll do that. If I work with doctors, I used to work with the detectives, the police department for years. I can't do that anymore. It's too intense work. I'm really good at it, but it took too much out of me. But I would help them with cases they couldn't solve. And I'm really good at finding missing bodies, which I don't want to do anymore. I don't know why I'm good at that. It's not something but I helped a lot of people for years. But the older I got, I'm like, it's too intense for me to do that. And I also believe all that's contracted. So I think there's no mistakes. I think everything is happening the way it needs to. And we just need to be mindful of our day. I tell people, the Course says, every day you affect 1,000 people that you know and don't know by your energy. So how are you showing up? Because that's what the most important thing, even with the death cycle. How are you showing up every day? Are you doing your best? Are you doing your purpose? Are you treating people with love and kindness? Are you really in the flow of your life? And really get back on track. You can't change yesterday. You can't change tomorrow. Every day is, how can I show up the best I can? I mean, that's what I've taken away from all the people I've helped crossover, people I've talked to, the guys. They want us to do better. Our planet needs it right now. We're in a mess. And if we don't start figuring it out, it's going to get worse. And it's like, how bad do we want it to get? And my thing is, I tell people, don't worry about what's going on in the White House. Worry what's going on in your house. Take care of what you're doing in your home because it matters. And the people that you're with and how you're loving and how you're showing up, because people watch what you do. My mom died. She had a long illness, and she was a pistol even on her death, but she looked at me, she said, you're one of the best people I know with the work you've done. And I didn't even expect that because she's not awake in any way. And she goes, you're doing really good work. They want you to know that. Because she was already talking to him. She had dementia so bad, but she had a clarity. She said two things. She said, you're doing really good work. You're such a good person. And you spoil your son. So she did tell me that. But she goes, you spoil him. I'm like, he's the only child I have, right? So just know that you're here to be the best you can be. You incarnated. You wanted to be here right now with all this stuff happening. And you survived past COVID. Okay, how big is that? One of the things I say, and I know I'm going off a little bit, that helped me not get COVID because I was around it a lot. I would say I have no value in sickness. I don't have value in it. So I never got it, even with people I was around that had it. I should have had it, and I never got it because I don't have value in it. I don't want to be sick. And that's Course in Miracles phase 2. But that's the whole death process is really a spiritual experience if you look at it that way. And yes, it's painful because we miss these people. But if you're interested, afterwards, I'll go out and get my cards. I'll bring it in. I'm sorry, I forgot to bring that. You guys can take it, contact me. We can do individual sessions. Maybe I'll record one and put it up for sale too on how to connect to your loved ones. And your guides. Because you need all the help right now. It's like stay in the eye of the storm. How can we do that? Because I think we're going to be in this for a few more years. We're not out of it. It may be 2 or 3 more years before things start calming down. And do you know why we got COVID? The reason we got COVID is because what happened before COVID was planet, everything's connected. Okay, you guys get that? The universe, Earth, the planet, Mother Earth couldn't transform our collective energy anymore. She was taking a beating. So that's why we got the fires, the earthquakes, the storms, everything. So what's happened, it couldn't transform it. So the sickness had to come in. And that's also part of an awakening. All the fear and darkness has to come up. People that are angry. Most people that get sick are very angry. Because sickness is fear, right? So if you stay out of fear, your chances of, getting sick are going to be less. I'm not saying exempt, but it'll be less.
It was so remarkable how everything just screeched to a halt.
Isn't that beautiful though? But and the planet recovered. Did you guys see how the air changed and the quality? See, it's all connected to Mother Earth. We're connected to everything that is. We're not even just connected to Earth. We're connected to other galaxies, other universes. We ripple everything. And we're really not showing up the way we need to. And they say if we could get to 12% light of people, the planet would change. We're at 8.
12% of what, excuse me?
If 12% of the planet was light workers, or light beings, the planet would change. We're at 8.
8%.
We're not even at 12. We're at 8. Only 8% of the planet's awake.
And then in our culture, the word woke is a bad thing. In
Well,
some circles,
I
right?
know that, but this is what it goes back to. Be an example of what light and love is. Because to me, with everything going on, when somebody acts inappropriate, it's a cry for love. It's for me not to take it personal. If you look at somebody acting out, it's not for you to take, it's a cry for love. And they can say, hey, I bless you, I'm going. I had that happen one time. I was in a bank. This is years ago. This is a prime example. I had a little Miata, and on my car it said God's too big for one religion. Probably pissed him off. But he came running in the bank, and I was in a really redneck town. Okay, so this guy came running in the bank, and the security guards were chasing him. He came up to me, saw me get out of my car. He said, "You in that car, and that, you know." And at first, I thought I kind of got offended, and I said, "Do you believe in God?" He goes, "Yeah, I believe in God." I said, "Well, you're not acting like it." And then it hit him, and he walked out like I hit him with a hammer, you know. But he calmed down and he walked out, and they didn't have to arrest him. But it could have escalated. I could have took it way personal. I could have went ghetto on him, but I didn't. I said, "Hey, do you believe in God?" And he said, "Yeah, no." He said, "Yeah, but it got him, but he wasn't acting differently. Not acting like it." Because I think that's what it is. We have to show that we're loving. I think our actions and the way we vibrate is what changes people. Because this is the two things. When you vibrate high, people either can't get enough of it, or they don't want it, or they're not ready for it. They'll walk away. They're like, "I can't handle that. I'm not ready." And that's okay. It's all perfect. And we're not here to fix anybody. We're here to love people for where they're at. Don't try to fix anybody. That's ego. And you'll drown if you do that. Just be you. You guys get that? Okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I look at it because I hate to use the word awake, but because I have a pretty high level of awareness.
Yeah.
It is a responsibility. I have a responsibility to do my work.
Well, you know, my saying with that is, once you get on the bus, you can't get off. So once you're awake, you're awake. And you won't know it. You know when you're not in your right mind. You know when you're acting inappropriately, and you just don't act on it. And you're not robotic, so you're going to have emotions, but you just don't act on inappropriate energies, emotions. Yeah, and it is being awake, being aware, being mindful, taking responsibility, accountability. And if you don't take accountability, you can't change anything. It's not somebody else's fault. Your life is the way it is. It's yours. Wherever you go, there you are, right? So whatever you're creating is from what you're vibrating. And if it's not working out there, you're not working in here. Go meditate, go journal, go do the work. I tell people, if you have a spiritual practice every day, you're a million times ahead of everybody else. But people don't want to do the work. It's like if you give 5-10 minutes a day to get better, your whole day will be better. But some people want to be in a rat wheel and they want to make it harder. And it's a choice, right? So we need to get to the 12% so we can change this planet. And I don't see it happening for another 3 years if we're even going to go that direction. So my thing is I want to be the best I can be because I want to be part of that 12%. That's my goal. And hopefully I can influence other people to do that too. Because that's what it's about. Okay.
Amen.
All right.